stage this year on the catwalks. With Dara Breen tonight, a grown man trapped under a girl's haircut. It's Ed Byrne. And with Brendan O'Connor, well, he's a poet, a politician, a philosopher, a pinko, and a philanthropist. Say what you like, but you just can't take the peas out of this man. Well, I got a laugh in the pub last night anyway. It's the people's favourite Michael D. Higgins. Dyslexic viewers watching will of course now be looking forward to our first round, 60 seconds of facts. As for the rest of you, lie back and accept the inevitability of our fabulous props in the news round, involving props, people in the news and our teams who have to guess the identities of folks in the news this week, aided only by a few props and their huge salaries. Dara and Ed, you go first. What have you got?
We have a picture of David Trimble.
The lovely David Trimble.
And we have a cowboy hat, which is grand. It could be something to do with... David, of course, is well known for being a member of the Orange Order. And they're still in the middle of the standoff in Drumcree. There's 3 blokes in the middle of Drumcree who walk up every day and go, "Can we go now?" And the soldiers go, "Jesus, no, all right." And they go, "OK, we're back tomorrow." "All right, no problem." But like they're still, and what they've come to a compromise solution, whereas for next year, to reduce the triumphalism of the Orange March down the Garavaghey Road, they're going to have to take off their bowler hats and wear cowboy hats like this. So
with orange feathers.
With orange feathers in them. And then they have to walk down the Garavaghey Road going, "Howdy, ma'am, I'm the Orange Order. Good to be here." Yeah.
It's going to be Ulster says nope. The fact that Garth Brooks is playing in Northern Ireland. David Trimble has now become the new symbol of Northern Ireland, it seems.
Yes.
Right, OK. Well, I will give you 3 points, not for being funny, but for actually giving the right answer.
Close enough.
For a change. The actor is, in fact, country superstar Garth Brooks. Interestingly, in Serbo-Croat, the word Garth Brook means Egypt with a big hat. Means the same in English as well, isn't that strange? Now, Garth is back in Ireland to do a series of concerts and to record an hour-long commercial for his albums, which, interestingly, is funded by the Irish taxpayer. Kenny Live, it's called. Now, during an interview earlier on in the week, Garth said this: "The 2 things I'm best at are sleeping and eating." You'll notice the word singing isn't there. And here's something else Garth is very good at.
I spent last night in the arms of a girl in Louisiana.
What a talented chap. So, Brendan and Michael, what have you got?
Bottle of whiskey and a collection box. I presume this is something to do with the story about the bottle of whiskey and the collection box.
No, I don't think so at all. We always get the serious one. This is about the banks, you see. The banks now have had a really rotten time. There they are making £507 million, but everyone has gone on and on about offshore accounts and they've been crooked and fiddling and everything. So this is a defence fund, so you put your money in here and it's sent straight to the banks to defend their good name. And then when you're queuing up on those, you know, those things for cattle with the ropes and things in the banks, if you're getting tired, they're going to come out between, that's called the 100 steps to the millennium, and they'll give you a little dash while you're waiting. And then, in case any of the staff get asked a difficult question, there's a little bottle under the counter like this, and they'll say, "Excuse me," and they'll go like this, and they'll go like this, and pour one for themselves. So it's all to do with the financial sector.
The answer actually was the Irish workforce. They're in the news this week because it was revealed that 10% of Irish workers are employed by bodies that the revenue commissioners consider non-profit making. Of course, the revenue commissioners think the AIB is a non-profit making organisation. But we do have an example of this. Here's an interview done a few years ago with one of Ireland's leading wine importers. See, can you guess why they aren't making any money?
We're in this business now 5 years, and this is the first time that this has ever happened, unfortunately.
Has it cost your company a lot of money?
Yes, it has. We've had to... we originally brought this wine in November, so we...
Oh, you said stash the bottles of wine! Oh, shite! Actually, while we're in this general area, we know a lot of third-level students watch this show, and RT keep telling us to be more responsible and all the rest of it. So we thought for a change, we'd show you some VT of a student talking about the rich and varied social life he enjoys at college. And we think this is actually a really great advert for third-level education. Just listen to all the pastimes this young man has.
Oh, it's excellent. I mean, the Union building at Strathclyde University is the biggest licensed premises in Scotland, so I'm told. And it's like 5 bars, so there's no end of opportunity to socialise. And when you're living on campus and you don't have any of your phone, say you won't be home on time, or anything, you know, you kind of give them free rein. So the social life is amazing.
And who is this comedy
is
hardman?
that
You're probably
wanker?
asking yourself. Yes, it's none other than Ed Byrne with his lovely Prince badge down. What was Ed studying at college? He was studying to be a gardener. So after all that destruction, the scores are that Dara's team got 3 points and Brendan's team got 1 point.
Yeah. We're coming from behind now, so...
What's going on here is the name of the next round, mainly because we couldn't think of a better one. Each team are shown a snatch of videotape from which they must guess what is going on here. Dara and Ed, here's Bill O'Hurley, age 12.
Mr. Tierney, what's really the point of this?
Well, I was always anxious to build something. I did build a small airplane once, a few years ago, and I was stopped by our local priest and sergeant.
Although you wouldn't want to indulge in them Protestant forms of travel, all right?
Oh no, because that's what he was trying to do. That's what, like, I mean, it's awful in the 50s. The Catholic churches ran everything, and that was Richard Branson in his original form, and he wanted to set up the first Protestant airline. Because it was a white plane with a big orange sash across it, and a big bowler hat. Very unaerodynamical, really, to be honest. But you have to have it in. And the slogan was cheaper seats, more destinations, and no virgin birth. So he just took the key word from that and made it into virgin later.
I have got a horrible feeling they actually stopped him for his own good. He doesn't look like a man who's able to just knock a plane together and get it to fly. They probably had half a wing and no engine, and I think it was just for his own good. I like the fact that the priest and the sergeant stepped in as well. That's beautiful.
Yes.
The church and state working together for a change.
The answer actually has to do with the Minister for Finance, Charlie McCreevy. He's going to present a new budget next month, and it's already been reported that about £700,000 will be allocated to the Irish Secret Service. Now, Charlie won't say what the money is for because, well, it's a secret, obviously. But we have discovered that the bulk of the money will be spent on a piece of high-tech underwater surveillance equipment. In fact, it's Ireland's first submarine. And there it is there, in action. Now, it's cunningly made to look like it's made out of dustbins, but it actually cost £500,000 by a non-profit making organisation built in the way. It can be operated remotely there, as you can see, by a piece of stick, rather than actually have somebody in it. So that's it. We're going to defeat all our enemies using that.
You see what I mean, though? I mean, the chance of him getting a plane to fly when you couldn't even get a submarine to sink.
I mean, submarines just sink. I also thought...
A floating submarine is a boat.
Yes. It was a raft. He made a canoe, basically, with a bin on top of it, and he's delighted with himself. He also, most submarines would generally have a roof. They're kind of central to the whole submarine thing, you know what I mean?
That top lid thing is key.
Yeah, well, that was a test model.
Submarine worked. I remember that. He's from North Clare. Yeah. That submarine worked.
Would this be in the sense that Tina G works?
Oh, yeah. It was a kind of a promo, you know?
Right. It's a promo for Tina G.
But it's still investigating the bottom of the sea there near Ballyvaughan. It was going to be a plane and he decided to go for submarine because he was short of parts.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's short a few parts.
Yeah, yes. That's quite obvious. So anyway, Brendan Michael D. Now, actually what we have is some footage of Michael D. himself. Now, just to explain this before you see it, this is from about 20 years ago when TDs weren't paid very much. So many of them had other jobs on the side. And Michael D. actually used to work for Fawcett Circus. So see, can you guess what his job was?
We had a slag heap. And then the policy committee has to be careful about what it's about. We need a distress program.
This is Michael D in his Krusty the Clown era. And you can see from the hair there why he decided to start using the blue rinse. So as regards what happened next, well, we all know what happened next. Michael D got into power, and as everybody said he would, went mad when he got into power. Everybody west of the Shannon got to make at least one film, something too. We got television Gaeilge and everything. Then he was out of power again, and he's been suffering from a bit of attention deficit disorder, I think, since, which is why he's about the only politician to come on this show.
Oh, you see, there it is, the kind of thing you'd expect from Brendan O'Connor. Never had much respect. No, I remember that. The good thing about that clip now is that it proves to all those people out there who doubt it that I once had wonderful long hair. Yeah. In fact, I used to regularly be confused with Garth Brooks. what was happening there was very interesting. It was one of those marvellous mass rallies I was told at the time.
Well, actually, we'll give you 3 points because Michael D, obviously because he was there, sort of more or less hit the nail on the head. As you obviously guessed, it's a Labour Party annual conference, but this one actually happened shortly just after a general election. And you know the way that at these annual conferences they have a stage and they put all the elected TDs and senators on the stage. Now, there was a bit of a miscalculation as to actually how many seats they'd need. So have a look at this. Now, there's Michael D. Now, this guy here on your left-hand side, he's just telling his friend, this is a good time to tell you I'm gay. He's going, whoa. That's very interesting. As you can see, too many seats there, more than they actually need. Now, the Labour Party were very poor in those days. And look at this sign here up at the back. More power to Labour, more power to the EPO. They couldn't even afford a P in those days. That's how sad it was.
There was a prize for putting that letter in.
Of course, even then, Labour were taking the P out of people, weren't they?
So, after all that frenzied political debate, the scores are that Dara's team got 1 point and Brendan's team got 3 points. When we return, Michael D. Higgins speaks frankly of his intense personal admiration for General Pinochet. Or perhaps not. Don't go away now.
This week, I have been most...
Welcome back. Now, before we go on, some quick showbiz news. This week, U2 member Adam Clayton admitted that he spent the last decade in a drug-fueled haze. And now that Adam is cleaned up, doctors yesterday had the sad task of telling him that he was actually going out with Naomi Campbell for a while. Adam reportedly broke down and cried, "Who's Naomi Campbell?" Time now for State of the Nation.
They haven't had the heart to tell him yet that he's in U2.
That's going to be the tough one, all right, yes. Time now for State of the Nation, where we test how much in tune our contestants are with the average dopey rock god on the street. This week, to honour Michael D, we went to stand outside the building that houses the seat of government and a load of fat arses.
Yes, we're outside the seat of government in this state. We're outside Dáil Éireann, and as you can see, it's frenetic activities going on there. It's about 10:30 on a Friday morning. As you can see, all the TDs and all the ministers are all crowding around there, trying their damnedest to make our lives better in every way.
So, Ed, you go first. Your question is this. It was reported this week that prostitutes in Germany are to get full pension rights. Will this mean free rides on the buses? We asked this man. And did he say, A, can't talk right now, the explosives strapped to my chest are about to go off? B, ha, free rides in the buses, I get it, ha, that's a good one, ha. Or C, I don't know, but I'd say the crack would be 90.
Yeah, just thinking about pensioners on buses, that reminds me of a film I saw the other night, actually, about this bloke who used to drive this bus past, he used to pick up all these... past all these pensioners, but they used to, it was, you know, he never used to bother about picking them up. And so eventually 2 of the pensioners hijacked the bus, put a bomb on it, and threatened to blow it up if the average age on the bus dropped below 55. And I think it's called peed. Anyway, by the looks of him, I think he's probably going to say something like, I think he's very excited by the idea, I have to say, just the very mention of it. He's got to say something like, ha, free rides. He just looks...
Like a ha, free rides.
He looks like a ha, free rides type.
Okie dokie, let's look at the VT and find out.
Excuse me, sir, can I ask you a quick question, please? It was announced this week that prostitutes in Germany are going to get the pension. Will that mean free rides on the buses?
I don't know, but the crack be 90 anyway.
No points there, I'm afraid. Yeah, I wouldn't think it to look at him. He had a mind like that. Anyway, Dara, your question concerns reports this week that many celebrities have insured various parts of their bodies. So the question we asked was, it was reported this week that Dolly Parton's breasts are insured for £2 million. Should Derek Davis cover his arse? We asked this man, did he say A, yes, he's got an ugly arse? B, well, maybe if we could rent Australia as a tarpaulin? Or C, Derek Davis, you mean that grumpy old git who was on the show the other week?
The Derek Davis backside is the reason that Amnesty International are currently walking around the streets looking for 1 million signatures at this stage. They can weave them into a big tapestry and they just wrap around them and be gone. So for humanitarian reasons, I'd have to say going A, B or C, I'd have to say A, yes.
Yes, he's got an ugly arse. Let's look at the VT and find out.
Dolly Parton has insured her breasts for £2 million. Do you think that Derek Davis should cover his arse?
Yeah, most definitely, yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because he's an ugly arse.
Ugly arse, you got 3 points, well done. So, Brendan, your question is, this week the Freemasons in Ireland said they're finding it harder to attract new members. Do you think sinister, Satan-worshipping secret societies like the Freemasons are given a bad name by the media? We asked this man, did he say A, cottage conspiracy riddled with sandpipers, we all know the story with cheese, broadcaster, B, storm in a teacup, Kennedy Woodlouse, Hardyman, storm in a teacup, or C, twist it back up, be gone before it gets back up to the Institute plate on them?
I'd like, if I could at this point, I'd like to read a prepared statement. This statement was written by me of my own free will, and there was no input from any of the top bods in RTE. The Freemasons do not exist. Neither does Opus Dei, but if they did, they would be fine organisations. Carrie Crowley has got where she was because of talent, and not because of any other connections. My family have not disappeared suddenly. They are merely on a holiday, and I look forward to their safe return when this show is over. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that was obviously from the heart. Now, obviously, it's easy. I mean, you know, the real answer is obvious there, I would have thought, after those three. Which one would you like to go for?
I would like to go for answer B.
Answer B, storm in a
Without
teacup,
prejudice.
Kennedy Woodlouse, etc. Let's have a look at the VT and find out.
Excuse me, sir. Could I ask you a quick question, please? This week, the Freemasons in Ireland have said it's hard for them to attract new members. Do you think that sinister, Satan-worshipping secret societies like the Freemasons are given a bad name by the media?
My own opinion is that you can twist it back up before you get to end for a structure plate on them. That's all.
Thanks very much.
Cool. I'm glad you cleared that one up.
Not every day you get to interview Satan. That was actually C, as far as we can make out, unfortunately, so you didn't get any points there. So finally, Michael D., your question is that this week singer George Michael is to marry his gay lover. Do you think George spent much time thinking about his husband's ring? We asked this man. Oh my God, he looks a bit familiar. That would be Dick Spring. Hey, Dick Spring, the former leader of your party. Did Dick say, A, I'd say he spent the last 20 years walking around parks looking for the ring? B, I know some people in the north who think I handled the northern situation undiplomatically, but it was only those godless Britlick and Proddies saying it. Or C, does this moustache make me look butch?
Well, I think it was C, but I have to say about this George Michael business, you know. We used to discuss, Dick and I often discussed listening to George Michael.
Really?
Yeah, it was between governments, I remember. Long into the night, we'd be sitting there listening. Careless Whisper it was. And we'd be saying something like, you know, I remember him saying to me, I'm never going to dance again. You know, that lovely number. I always thought George Michael was quite poetic. You know, I wrote a line down here. Wake me up before you go. I'm not planning on going slow. Now, there's something with a ring to it. Just listen to this other line, Brenda, before you break out. I'm never going to dance again. Guilty feet ain't got no rhythm. And this is a profound remark, isn't it?
Oh, I think so.
So what?
Let's move on.
Let's move on. So what letter are you going for, Michael?
Oh, C.
C, okay.
C, of course.
Absolutely.
So you think that the former leader of your party said, does this moustache make me look butch? There's an interesting insight into what happens on the backbenches. So let's have a look at the VT and find out.
George Michael is to marry his gay lover this week. Do you think that George gave much thought to his new husband's ring?
I'd have to give him a call, wouldn't I? I'd say he was thinking about it. Every time he walked across the public park for the last 20 years, he was probably thinking, where will I get the ring?
Ooh, dirty Dick. Naughty Dick. Needs a good sing through, Dick.
Would they, Michael?
Now you know how badly informed I am on party leaders.
Indeed, yes.
Yes.
So, he's actually not a party leader anymore. That's how badly informed you are. So, after all that, the scores are that Dara's team got 3 points, but Brendan's team got no points. There's just enough coins in the meter to transmit our final round, 60 seconds of facts. 1 point for the right answer, or 2 if they can get a laugh out of our specially chosen audience of Polish tourists. So, Dara and Ed, your 60 seconds of facts starts now. 10 days after giving up booze and kebabs, Jimmy Five Bellies has lost what?
The will to live.
Two bellies.
He's out three bellies.
Jimmy three bellies.
Stone is the actual answer there. Mick Jagger is apparently angry that his 14-year-old daughter is doing what?
Bill Wyman.
Modelling is the actual answer there. Sorry. OK Magazine recently outbid rivals Hello for the right to publish pictures of Posh Spice's what?
Art.
Placenta.
I'll give you 1 point for being disgusting. Wedding is the actual answer. In a recent survey of 3,000 business travellers, Britons were the only ones who admitted bringing their own what with them on foreign trips.
Their horrible attitudes towards foreigners, generally.
Packed lunches.
No, actually, toilet papers is the actual answer to remind them of the taste of their beer. After 10 years of painstaking research, Professor Ron Eccles has discovered that there is no cure for what?
The Billy Barry kids.
The common cold is the actual answer. Last week, Daniel O'Donnell admitted that his golf handicap was what?
He's a great big spa.
He doesn't want to hit the ball too hard.
No, his golf handicap is going up, apparently. According to recent tests in America, nicotine can improve a person's what?
Cigarettes.
Memory is the actual answer there. Okay, well done, very good. Brendan and Michael D, your 60 seconds of fact starts now. 9 out of 10 non-white students studying in Ireland have experienced what?
Nurses.
Racism is the actual answer there. Australian scientists claim they have created a vaccine which enables monkeys to fight off what?
Nurses.
The common cold.
The AIDS virus is the actual answer there. Bertie Ahern said he felt Gerry Adams should have accepted the invitation extended by who?
Nurses.
The RUC is the actual answer. Adam Clayton said in an interview last week he'd won his battle against what?
Models.
Music.
You should have said nurses. There was booze, actually, was the actual answer there. Last week, Bosco lashed out at who?
Mrs. Bosco.
Puppets.
RTE was the actual answer there. Eamon Dunphy and John Giles are being lashed where?
On the bottom.
On the sideline.
In the ratings, apparently, is the answer. Thousands of students took to the streets last week to complain about the rising cost of what?
Socialising.
Maintenance.
Nurses.
Rented accommodation. Red Briscoe said last week that if he were a racehorse, a lot of people would have done what to him?
They would have ridden him around in a circle.
Whipped him.
Would have whipped him. Bet on him was his answer. Shot him would have been mine, actually, if you think of it. Yeah. So after the end of all that big fat poo, the scores are that Brendan's team got 14 points and Dara's team got 18 points.
You did your best, Brendan.
Too damn good. So,
too damn smart.
Much thanks to all the nurses who are watching this week, and much thanks also to Dara's guest, Ed Byrne. And with Brendan, the fabulously nursey Michael D. Higgins. Some Fianna Fáilers booing there. But as we go, space. Tomorrow, the Earth passes through a meteor shower. And this week, a newspaper printed claims ascribed to David Moore of Astronomy Ireland that tomorrow's shower could cause the end of the world. Now, we plan to have David Moore of Astronomy Ireland on the show next week to tell us all about that. But in the meantime, I rang up the astronomy department at the University of Boulder, Colorado to voice the concerns of a small village in the west of Ireland. Thanks for helping us feed the gondolas. Good night.
APS, this is Jamie.
Hello, is that the astronomy department?
Yes, it is.
Oh, hello. I'm sorry for bothering you now. It's probably early in the morning where you are.
Oh, no.
But I'm actually ringing you from Ireland.
Okay.
From the west of Ireland, from a little village in Galway called the Hascraw. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. You probably haven't.
No, I haven't.
All right, okay. You've heard of Ireland, though?
Yes.
That's the main thing. No, the reason I'm ringing you now, this might sound a bit silly, but my son Nigel got your number off the internet. He's great for the computers and everything, so I thought I'd ring up somebody in America who could know this. Now, let me explain to you what I'm on about. Now,
okay.
you know this now, of course, yourself, that on Tuesday there's going to be this big meteor shower.
Yes.
Now, there's a fella here who's in charge of Astronomy Ireland, and his name is David Moore. Now, he was in the papers today saying that the world might end on Tuesday.
Oh, my God.
Now, I'm the chairperson of the parish committee here in the village, you see, and obviously, now, there was a bit of concern expressed. And, you know, one of the fellas now saw that film with, you know, what's his name, the baldy fella in it, Bruce Willis. You know, the sly-looking fella, where they all go up in the rocket and they blow up the... And they said, well, sure, what would David Moore know? Somebody in America might know if there was something like that was actually going to happen, you know. So could your man's talking rot, is he? Or is the world going to end on Tuesday?
No.
No, there's no chance at all of it ending on Tuesday.
No.
He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
That's terrible now, because he has half the village frightened to death, you know. And the thing was as well is that we're a little village now, and we're in the middle of nowhere now, to be perfectly honest with you. And a couple of weeks ago, this lord from England, Lord Lucan is his name, and he came over and he actually offered to buy the village, you see. Now, of course, we were laughing at him, saying we wouldn't buy the village, but now the committee are saying to me, sure, sell him the village, the world will be ended on Tuesday, and we'll have some cash and a bit of a laugh, you know. And I'm saying, don't be daft, because the world isn't going to end on Tuesday.
No.
So you're definitely not going to end on Tuesday.
Definitely not.
You're not now moving out of anywhere. You're absolutely certain about this.
No, I'm positive.
That's great. Well,
100%.
I'm sorry now for bothering you. Such a stupid thing now. You're in Boulder, Colorado.
Yes,
That's where I suppose you get this all the time. That's where Mork used to live.
Yes, it is true.
And do people be annoying you with that joke the whole time? I suppose they do.
Not really. Once in a while.
Ah, right. Well, okay. Well, I'm sorry I brought it up. Anyway, well, thanks very much for your help now.
Sure. I'm glad I could help.
Thank you very much now. Slán na bhaile. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Gesehen. Oh Mann.
Oh Mann? Ist der Mann ein Geschwür, das um Freiheit kämpft?
Ja, ich habe das Gefühl, ich habe eine Kröte verstanden.